Hello there everyone, this is 1 Week to Kill, where I play a free-to-play game for a week and give you the results. This time around, although it has technically been a long time since I did a video of this sort here where I play a free-to-play game, this is still going to be a different case for Battle of Wesnoth. Battle for Wesnoth is the game we're going to be talking about here. It's actually been out for at least 15 years. It only just recently came onto Steam there. Well, technically that's not really true if you're paying attention to the green light, because it actually went into early access or green light there about 2 years ago. And just recently it has full live release on Steam. So what is Battle for Wesnoth exactly? Well, when I was browsing around on Steam and I saw the artwork there, for all intents and purposes, it reminds me very heavily of an old classical game I used to play called Ogre Battle. Ogre Battle 64, I guess, was more accurate with how the art style is, but I remember that game fondly, and sadly, this is not quite an example or what I'm expecting there. It wasn't really Ogre Battle, although the art style still drew me in enough to give this game a try, especially when it's free. You cannot say no to free, can you there? And with that said, since this game has been out for like almost 15 years, there's a plethora of stuff you can do here. We have the campaign. I am going to probably jump into the skirmish there to give you a rough idea what everything works there. But with 15 years, you got a ton of different campaigns. It even tells you the exact description of what you're expecting here. So difficulty levels, the amount of missions there are going to be, which can be a bit of a negative there because you know how long exactly your campaign is going to be, mind you. But you have a ton of different types of stories there, spreading from all the different types of factions that you have to play as, with the built-in map editor, built-in like mods to kind of like connect and actually download as you wish to kind of like vary up your playstyle a bit. Unfortunately, it does not have a Steam Workshop, mainly because, as I said, all this mod type stuff and additions are available in-game there and relatively simple for you to download and install. Although I haven't really played with the add-ons enough to really know how diverse they really are, but there is a lot of options for you, and there are like a handful of players currently online with multiplayer. With, like I said before, this game only recently was fully released on Steam, so if you're into multiplayer, this could be up your alley. Although, for me personally, it's not quite the kind of competitive game I would like, because there is a lot of like random elements that do add to the excitement level to it, but it's really hard to be competitive, I imagine, at least in my sense of it. But as you can see here, these are all the different factions you can play as. You got different variants. You got humans, orcs, which are the northerners there, orcs and goblins rather. Rebels are technically elves and like druids and all that. Undead are straightforward. The Kalnad's Alliance are dwarves, and Dunefolk are like sand people, sandfolk. They're still human, mind you, but they're mostly themed around that kind of Arabian and like Egyptian type style vaguely. But I think for this case here, since I'm so biased about it, we're going to go with the Drakes because they actually have a dragon faction for you. So let's talk about how exactly this is going to work, how exactly functions. The one downside though, if you are kind of like into bot stomping or even massive chaotic 8-player, 9-player type of skirmishes, sadly there isn't like an 8 or 9-player free-for-all from what I understand, because you have to preset between like different sides of the map. But how exactly does Battle for Wesnoth function? Well, it is like a turn-based strategy game for all intents and purposes. At least these standard skirmish games are pretty straightforward. You have to destroy your leader, which is the one here that I'm starting with. And while I can't technically zoom in to make it easy to stand out, your leader and your opponent's leader is going to be represented by this crown icon there above their health bar, and for all intents and purposes your leader is just a leveled up version of your base units at the moment. So how exactly this works: your leader can spawn extra units for you, but they have to be staying on specific like keeps here, which you kind of have to mouse over to know what exactly is a keep and what exactly is just encampments. So these high elevate areas are where you can spawn units basically. So you right click there, if you so wish. They have hotkeys for everything, and you will be able to spawn units based on your gold allowance there. Although the more units you spawn, the more it costs your upkeep there, which is represented up top. So what are we going to be doing? We're just going to keep things simple. We're going to spawn a bunch of units, and for the purposes of speeding this up, I'm going to use hotkeys. Because I played a good number of skirmish games there, haven't really played multiplayer all that much to get a sense of how it plays out on there, but once you spawn units, they have like a turn where they can't move, which is what all this grayed out area is. But you can move your leader there, and you gotta pay close attention because these villages, which are represented by different icons, are how you get your upkeep, how you get your extra money. So I'm gonna probably grab one of these there, help subsidize the amount of upkeep I'm gonna be spending for these 3 units. And I can still move, I can still bounce back and recruit more so long as my upkeep allows for it. But so far everything's pretty straightforward. It's a nice turn-based fantasy style game. We have the glider here, which is a nice mobile unit, and I'm going to use it for spotting. It has high vision and of course for capturing these towns out of distance. And with that said, I could continue to capture more towns, maximize my income, can fly back and reinforce for next turn. Although, I may have a bit of trouble for the follow-up turns if my bot adversary decides to spawn more units, because it is a bit of a tug-of-war game with that said. But I'm hoping to rapidly get into combat to really explain the nuance of this game. And the units I'm recruiting, just to give you an example, my clashers here are like plated armor drakes that, for all intents and purposes, kind of remove the penalties they have for being regular drakes, which we'll explain more as combat goes on. And these regular drakes, all these units except for my clashers are considered flying units. So they're able to move around, they can traverse the terrain really damn well. But the clashers are like the only exception to that because they're more heavily armored, so they forfeit that a bit. But when you mouse over on terrain, you get like this different percentage there, and that demonstrates what kind of defense bonus you're getting. In the case of the drakes though, mind you, I am not very strong and fortifying myself is the big downside, and I'm trying to figure out where my adversary's at. It's probably right there, if I had to guess. Which makes me want to grab some more keeps there, keep my upkeep going, because after all I have such a high mobile unit, and kind of, for all intents and purposes, this glider is more of a harasser. I was kind of expecting more combat at this point, if I were to be honest. But there are hotkeys to kind of like move your units around and auto-select those that idle. I'm using the N key to rapidly swap between what hasn't used their full move yet. Oh, and there's our adversary there. It looks like we're fighting the Doom people. And they're dangerous because now we're going to talk about the weaknesses and strengths of each of these units. There's a lot of detail to kind of go over there, but to give you a rough idea, that Lancer does piercing type damage, which aside from my my Lancer here, or Skirmisher, I forget what it's called off the top of my head, damn it. Oh, it's a Clasher, yeah, my Clasher, it does not suffer penalties from piercing damage, but you can see all these modifiers here for different type of attacks. Even all these modifiers for different terrain. So, but the point I'm trying to get at, the main strengths of my weakness of these drakes is that they are vulnerable to piercing damage, and of course like certain type of damage there, like cold damage goes without saying, but they are strong in other elements, and this is where the nuances and the fine detail of this game start to become realized. For you're going to have to try and manage what units you can as I'm trying to figure out how to unselect this. I'm pretty certain I know how to, I just didn't want to accidentally misclick. But there is actually an undo function too, with that said, if you make a wrong move. So you could just easily hit move U, or hit the undo button, and it allows you to undo what you did. Which I think also translate on the multiplayer, but I don't think you can do that for attacks, mind you. That would probably be the one exception. So, what's different about this burner unit that I have there is that there's 2 different types of attacks for most of my units. In this case, my burner actually has a fire breathing attack, which is considered range, which is where it's really good against this Lancer because it cannot retaliate if I were to get on top of it. But of course, if this thing tries to attack me from melee attack, I'm not going to get to use my range attacks. Basically, I'll explain more how the combat works there, but basically if I choose a melee attack, the target I'm attacking will also get to use their melee attack, but if I use the ranged attack, they would also use their range. So you're kind of mix and matching, but at the same time, if I get in a bad engagement with this burner on that Lancer, because it's doing a whopping 21 points of damage, then it could probably murder my thing really quickly because I'm weak in melee, potentially weak. So, we have another keep up there. There is what you need to do as far as spawn units, even though technically, well, that's just in a camping, mind you, but I need these open spaces connected to my keep to spawn units, so going down here would probably be a good idea to spawn more units. It's not really necessary because I'm almost out of income, almost out of money, but I think we're going to spawn another Drake to provide harassment support options, because these are my lightly armored, really fast mobile units that can like harass but not really do a lot of damage. And there's an example of the combat in action there. And because my Clasher, which is what just happened there really quickly, didn't have a range attack, it actually did no damage. Whereas down here, you saw the two retaliating with each other. So now, we're going to really demonstrate how this combat's going to work. So, this is the combat itself there. It's kind of tricky to demonstrate because I do have two different types of melee attacks. There we go. So if my fighter was to choose an attack, it shows what kind of attack they do there, and then it shows the percentage chance of hitting. So 60% chance there, mostly, especially for my dragons, is really difficult to utilize cover, but for like elves and other factions that have specialized like, or really acclimate, or really good at certain terrain like the woods for elves for example, you can modify this based on your terrain, and for elves it's really, they get like an 80% bonus I think, which makes them really difficult to wedge out of woods. But normally those woods are sparse unless you pick specific maps for them. Like for example my Soaring here, since this is a completely type of different unit, different modifiers and all that, it gets like 60% bonus for like certain terrains as opposed to the 40 you've been seeing before. So these are, for all intents and purposes, are probably guys I'm going to entrench to play defensive formations for me. So let's get the combat start there. I would love to stand in the town or in the swamp. Not likely going to happen sadly, but the main plus side, as you can see here, is I can throw spears at them. And how this works, I do 5 damage per attack with 2 attacks each, or I can go with the regular melee attack to get 4 attempts in. But the downside of course is I get a retaliation attack for each attempt. So we're going to go with the safe play and try and cripple this thing. Because of how scary this thing is, I do not want to deal with it. And alas, I'm not going to be able to do a lot of damage to this unless I'm willing to take a lot of damage with my Breaver. But we have my glider there able to support as well. It has the mobility for it. So we'll just put this in action. And my Clash is going to be great for his Bowman because it has really bad melee attack in comparison to its range, I think. And it looks like, yeah, it is weaker anyway, if nothing else. So attacking with melee is the right choice, more often than not. I just gotta be careful with my health because it's really dangerous too. So my fighter is going to attack, and ideally, I'm gonna try and keep it away from this Lancer so it doesn't die a horrible fate. And I'm really hoping I kill this thing. 60% chance with 2 attacks. I may just go with the fire breathing attack. It's more attacks, but since I attack first in normal situations as the aggressor, if I can kill it, it's not going to do damage to me. I missed the attack though. There, but it's dead on the second try, so I'm fine with that. And how exactly movement works is that you cannot move in adjacent hexes of your opponent there. So if I were to try and go around to attack the flank, I would have to go all the way around, which is a little problematic, but let's see. I'm trying to understand the bonuses here, because you're standing in water right now, so your defenses are probably not very good. 20%, so apparently, I figured the chance of you... Oh wait, I'm trying to think of hitting you there anyway, so... I'm not quite well versed on how exactly the terrain works. I just know you can't get lower than 40% chance to hit as far as defensive bonuses, so... But I know it can go up to 80%, which I'm a little bit shocked it does not go higher for me. But I could fall back to try and recover there. It probably is a worthwhile idea because we are kind of getting surrounded by this one Thrasher or Clasher here. So having it being defended would be a good idea. And how much health does this thing have? It potentially can survive. Yeah, it's only 17 damage, I think. I gotta remember what its profile is because these are important factors. Yeah, 20 damage, so interestingly enough it doesn't do as much damage as I thought. Oh, it's nighttime. I forgot to explain that rule. There are certain traits there to certain units, like Lawful in this case. You get a bonus or a negative depending on the time of day. And it shows the the day-night cycle up top there, 5 of 6 so far. And there are chaotic units like my Skirmisher here, which would actually do more damage at night. So there's another element there that needs to be considered that also manipulates the dynamic of this play, but at the same time I'm only doing 2 damage because of the night cycle, since that is technically a 50% difference in damage, but still a good 6 points of damage for free I'll happily take. And if possible I would love to have gotten behind it, because that would be a great way to kind of pincer this thing in and force it to attack something, but in this case it could probably run away through the water if it turns out, but let's see, there's nothing else to grab down here, so let's just try and murder this thing quickly. I'll try and speed this along as we've kind of gone over the basics of how this is going to play. And another 6 points of damage, that's always good. I will happily take that, and gotta be mindful of these clashers and all, or bowmen. So I think I may want a burner up there, because these are well, actually damage and range is the exact same, it's just a damage type. I'm really strong against blade type attacks, I think. I'm just weak. Yeah, 10% resistance, but 10% for penalty for piercing, which is what the bows would be. So I think you would actually be pretty decent up here, because you would hit harder, potentially, with their bow attacks, which they're probably going to do more often than not. Also, you also have the option to send your leader out to fight too, but if for whatever reason your leader dies, you immediately lose the battle, so you gotta play this out very carefully for all intents and purposes. Your leader is a level 2, an upgrade version of one variant, or what your drakes currently are. Like, this Drake Flare is actually an upgrade version of a Drake Burner, or at least a variation of it. And hopefully I can show you what those levels look like. Oh, and you still get a pierce on my dang fighter, which I was hoping to avoid, you cursed thing. I would have liked to avoid that, but I do heal up because I was in a town, and I did not want my Saurian to go back, which really stinks. But I'm able to get retribution now. My burner's going to have a good time hitting. 5 chances, 60%. Maybe could just straight up kill this thing. Good. That's what we like to see. Now, what kind of terrain am I in? They have a 70% chance to hit me, which does not bode well for me. I would have liked to have fought in, like, mountains or something to minimize that chance. But I still have good amount of damage potential here. I just need to protect my clasher from getting killed. And in most cases like this, it's probably a better idea just to back up and protect my units so they don't die, in all honesty. Because now my leader's going to try and take a fight here. And let's see, you're a swordsman. You are potentially dangerous because you have like a marksman trait, which means there's always a 60% chance to hit me no matter what modifiers or bonuses I have. So we'll just try and continue to exist through. I gotta keep my income because I'm not spotting units at this point. And you are gonna heal. My clasher is gonna heal, so because we're in the town, so feel free to keep attacking this thing. And one thing I did not point out is that because I chose this flare, it's actually a leader type of unit, so there's a leadership ability that causes my allies or adjacent allies to do 25% more damage when they attack next to my leader, which is kind of why I chose the flare, kind of serving its role without having to commit to fighting in any way. So, I think we cleaned up down below. We have a bit of fighting going up on top, and this is kind of where the tug of war comes in. You can modify how much gold you start with, or the upkeep for all your towns, mind you, so you can dramatically change how this plays out for you if you want to just start with like 2 or 3 units at the beginning as opposed to like the 5 or 6 I had. But, let's see, 5 or so, I don't think I want to do an attack there, and my burner already attacked, so what I'm going to do instead is try and see about stealing some more towns in the back door. And it does give you an indicator for when you would spot something, in the case of my glider having incredible vision. Although, I'm still going to get attacked if I'm not careful, looks like, since I am within range of this rover, is what they're called. But I have the bombs well secured, and we might just play it a couple more turns just to show the nuances, because there's their leader right up there, in fact. So if I can kill them, especially when they start running out of units, that'll be great for me. Because they're not quite going to have the gold upkeep, especially when I start stealing their towns like what I'm trying to do right now. Although going up there is really damn risky because it is horsemen, which is a piercer, so 20 damage, 1 lance attack. So, and it can attack me. That's what the movement indicates, so if it gets down here, it can attack one of these adjacent units, so probably not a good idea to try and engage that. I'm likely going to lose a glider if I'm not careful. But we can kill this soldier here. We have good possibility to kill this thing. And sadly, my Saurian is not going to get to do a lot here, but it can still make an attack. 11 damage is kind of no joke there. And it's daytime now too, so my Saurian is going to be a lot weaker in oppose, as opposed to my Drakes. Let's see, am I adjacent? Yeah, you can see right there, 7 damage now as opposed to the 6 it was before. So this is going to be painful if I hit. But you can see where kind of the random element comes in, because it was 60% chance and I only hit with one of them, which really kills the momentum a little bit, because what seemed like a guaranteed kill, so now I'm going to have to commit with my leader attacking, or pulling back to do damage, or rather pulling back to reinforce. But I don't want this thing to try and kill my clasher, which it's probably going to do. So I'm going to commit to killing this thing off, which could have still failed, mind you, considering the fact that it was, after all, 60% chance to hit, but we got this thing surrounded now, and we can kill this off pretty good. Still gonna take a little bit of damage. I gotta be careful this clasher getting hit, because 2 hits will kill it, so I may want to avoid that if at all possible. So I'm gonna commit with maybe the less optimal attack with my fire breath to kind of guarantee a kill of some kind, almost guarantee a kill, which we thankfully get on the first try. Perfect. So, again, we can use the N key to kind of see what moves we still have left. And I think my Drake, I could go here, I could go pretty much anywhere I wish, but I think preserving these units is kind of the right idea, since they can always heal up. And I am going to heal up a little bit if this glider survives, which there's always a good chance because of that percentage hit chance we've been seeing before. But that was still a brutal hit, wasn't it? And one more attack's going to kill it. So sadly, that did not pay off. For all intents and purposes, these things are like kind of glass cans, since they only get a single attack that could go horribly wrong for them because of the hit chance, because it was still a 60% chance to hit me after all. And it doesn't have a range attack of any kind, so I could abuse that heavily. Very heavily, but it has a lot of mobility, with that said too. So I may fall back, keep an eye on its mobility, because yeah, the only reason, yeah, my Drake's kind of in the way, so I need to back it up to somewhere safe. Which is not going to go well, considering. Because they only have melee attacks. This thing's going to take a lot of damage, and ooh, it's okay, I'm wrong. This thing's going to get slowed down. My clasher is going to be safe. I just need to position myself in a way to kind of intercept it now. And since most of my Drakes are flyers, they're kind of unhindered by most of the mobility, which you also get to see on the description tab. Although, you could choose all the other factions, they're going to have completely different layouts. Because as you can see here, caves cost 3 movement points, fungus and deep water cost 2, and frozen terrain will also cost 2 movement points. So there are lots of modifiers for every single type of unit pretty much. And the main strength, the nuance and diversity, comes to knowing how to best optimize that. And I'm kind of tempted to get lots of range, at least range capable units with that said. And this Augur, I should have gotten an Augur earlier, is kind of a spellcaster unit, which has some really unique traits there where magical attacks always have a 70% chance to hit, no matter what they're targeting, no matter what terrain or anything like that. So, that's a good example there, and also, most importantly, heals adjacent units, which is good for, like, pressing aggressive attacks, too. I haven't played with the Augur or even healers enough to know if it stacks with like multiple augurs adjacent to a single unit to heal multiple times or not, but that allows you to supplement an aggressive push if nothing else. So it's really useful in that regard. And also, I want to know where you can go. Do I want to attempt? No, I do not want to go to this building here. So, actually I think my burn is going to stay back, hang back, and ideally stay out of range of this thing too, which is going to get attacked, so we don't want that. The one plus side, again, these Saurians I mentioned earlier have better defenses in the buildings, so that's a 40% chance to get hit, but it's really close to death if it does get hit. Oh, and my burner is going to get attacked anyway. I made a bad placement there. Bad placement. I'm going to continue to try heal up with these Drakes, and they're going to spend a turn trying to grab this building. And I think we're only going to do one more turn here before we look at like the campaign and other nuanced stuff to see diversity, and there's what I told you. Sadly, the chance didn't work in my favor, but that should have been a 40% chance to hit me. But now we're going to take full advantage of this and just murder these two, ideally. There's the spell attack in action. I have a lot of burners that are going to do a lot of damage, but I should be maximizing this, like I said. Because my leader is going to enhance these attacks really well. I just did that poorly as far as optimization. But he's also got a flame attack, but that was a complete miss. And you are seeing the experience bar there too, which also, that little blue health bar, that's where it determines a level up for your character. And what I would like to do is try and kill this thing and show you what happens on a promotion, but I need to hit this damn thing for that to work. Perfect. So I have a good opportunity to kill this. I'm not going to get to kill both of them, I think, which is going to be a shame. One more hit, please. One more hit. Do I get the promotion? Yes, this is a promotion page. And this is where you get to choose. Well, for most units, you only get a direct path, a single path. Like the fighter, the one with the two like claw arm weapons, will only get one direct upgrade. But in this case, I could choose to get another flare, which is what my leader currently is. Or I could just make someone that's more powerful in melee. And they can continue to level up too, for all intents and purposes, down their path. So, and the reason this is important is the campaign itself allows you to bring back veterans from previous campaign missions, which is where you're more than likely going to level them up, and it also heals you to full health. So, I don't think I can recall because I'm not actually at this fort, so it's just not going to matter for this kind of skirmish anyway, because this is only a one-off type of battle, so it would not be available for me anyway, alas. But I think this is a good demonstration of what I mean. So let's see if we can just finish off this damn thing, because I am boosting damage, I'm just realizing too. So a lot of good damage, a lot of good momentum here. We got a level 2 Fire Drake now, and every single one of them is named too, so if you're that kind of person that values each named individual, they are all named for you. I just don't think you can change it. At least I'm not seeing it here. But it even shows advanced traits, or what levels they advance to, but you don't get to see it until you unlock it for the first time, alas. But this is Battle for Wesnoth here, at least how the gameplay functions. I personally don't think I care about the campaign all that much, if I were to be honest, but it all has its story there with certain type of how it plays out. And you do have a tutorial as well, but none of it is voice acted. And I believe Heir to the Throne is like the main, at least original storyline, because this is a character you play as, or at least one of the characters you play as for the tutorial. So I think this is the main story arc here, with 23 missions, with a bunch of various other stories that kind of like take place in different times and parts of the world there. Sadly, there's none for the Drakes, it looks like, but you do have one for the Doom people, which is like one of the later factions they put in here. So there are different types of difficulties there, like, as I said, even the main story itself has 3 different types of difficulties for you, if you so wish, if you like the challenge, which can be hit or miss, because again, how it plays out with the random chance there, it could go horribly wrong for you, there is a risk of that. But the campaign is kind of what you expect there. It is not quite the Ogre Battle I was kind of really hoping for when I first dived into Battle Wesnoth, though. I was really excited for the potential there. And we're just going to skip through the story, because basically it's like the homeland of these 2 brothers there is now under attack from like basically a necromancer. So with this magical charm, the wizard was able to bring back their brother theirs and bring an army to try and fight back this necromancer. And they're not really happy with each other too. So you are, for all intents and purposes, the Lord, the Night Lord brother, and you're going to be leading the attack there, at least in the first mission. And let's see. And the battle plays out exactly as you would expect it, what you already seen, although it's going to have its own quirks and nuances. But since this is like the very first mission though, this will be pretty straightforward and really simple. But the next mission I managed to play enough to that. Actually, am I able to actually load that with that said? Clearing gushes? I don't think that's what it is. I'm trying to find it. I don't... Oh, this could actually be... No, it's not. I'm trying to figure out where the map is, but I don't think I actually have it here with that said. Maybe the autosave didn't... Oh, probably the autosave doesn't go that far. So alas, I can't show you the second mission, alas. But it plays out differently. You're going to be battling a bunch of elves, and it's a very narrow path, and the main thing that I noticed is that they had access to all these villages already. So you're kind of forced to kind of push your way through super aggressively, or you're just going to get starved out from what I noticed. And mind you, I played on a harder difficulty for this campaign. But this is Battle for Wesnoth there. We're going to jump onto the official server there. Oh wait, I already signed up. Never mind. I hit the wrong button. And this is a bit early, alas, so... early in the day is what I mean. So there may not be very many people, although we do have a handful, and you can actually, I think, is it possible to actually observe? Yeah, you can actually observe games that are already in place, mind you. So even if you don't want to actually play a multiplayer game, it's very possible to just watch in action, I guess. Which is going to be interesting. That might actually be a fun way to kill some time. If you're a little too intimidated to play the multiplayer, this is what? It looks like, oh, it looks like it actually just started. Oh, it's showing me a replay. That's what it is, I think. Getting me caught up. So, I don't know if there's a way to speed that up at least. But I think that's what it's doing. It's trying to get you caught up on what's going on. But it's doing it really rapidly too, because these are supposed to be 2 different players as well. So, I don't think there's much else to say. There is like a little bit of everything for everyone there. There's like I said with the mods, the map editor and all that, you can get some diverse type of maps. There's even type of like survival type of waves things where it's the last man standing. We're not even fighting against other players, you're just fighting against waves, and waves like enemies, I believe. And it goes on until one faction is still left standing, determines the winner that way. So, to a vague extent, at least for me personally, it seems a lot like old StarCraft type of map editor type of thing, where you can play a strategy type game and mesh it into something completely different, possibly. And this game has been around for a long time, like I said, at least 15 years, so there's a lot going for it there. It's probably gotten a lot of visual updates as well, to kind of enhance for the higher resolution. Of course, the widescreen, without a doubt, as we're seeing already. So, there's a lot of promise to this game. It's completely free, it's open. Well, it's not really openware, it's free software based on one type of engine or setup, I believe. So it's completely free. I did not notice any microtransaction stuffs, which you normally would expect with free-to-play games, with that said. So, it's been a while since I did anything of this type there with going over a free-to-play game. Hopefully, as I can find more free-to-play games that are more to my liking, I will hopefully do more videos of this. But, this is Battle for Wesnoth, everyone. Thank you for watching.